Today we'll start a new chapter, Chapter 10, Crafting the Brand Positioning. In this chapter, we'll cover the following issues. How can a company develop and establish an effective positioning in the market? How do marketers identify and analyze competition? How are brands successfully differentiated? How do firms communicate their positioning? What are some alternatives approach to positioning? What are the differences in positioning and branding for small business? The goal is to locate the brand in the minds of consumers to maximize the potential benefit to the firm. A good brand positioning helps guide marketing strategy by clarifying the brand's essence, identifying the goals it helps the consumers to achieve, and showing how it does so in a unique way. One result of positioning is the successful creation of a consumer-focused value proposition, a cogent reason why the target market should buy a product or service. As introduced in Chapter 1, a value proposition captures the way a product or service key benefits provide value to consumers by satisfying their needs. Table 10.1 shows how three companies, Hertz, Volvo, and Domino's, have identified their value propositions through the years with their target consumers. Decisions about competitive frame of references are closely linked to target market decisions. Deciding to target a certain type of consumers can define the nature of competition because certain firms have decided to target that segment in the past, or because consumers in the segment may already look to certain products or brands in their purchase decisions. A good starting point in defining a competitive frame of reference for brand positioning is category membership. The products or sets of products with which a brand competes and that function as close substitutes. The range of a company's actual and potential competitors, however, can be much broader than the obvious. Using the market approach, we define competitors as companies that satisfy the same customer needs. Chapter 2 described how to conduct a SWOT analysis that includes a competitive analysis. A company needs to gather information about each competitor's real and perceived strengths and weaknesses. Once a company has identified its main competitors and their strategies, it must ask, what is each competitor seeking in the marketplace? What drives each competitor's behavior? Table 10.2 shows the results of a company survey that asked consumers to rate its three competitors, A, B, and C, on 5 attributes. Competitor A turns out to be well-known and respected for producing high-quality products sold by a good sales force, but poor at providing product availability and technical assistance. Competitor B is good across the board and excellent in product availability and sales force. Competitor C reads poor to fair on most attributes. This result suggests that in its positioning, the company could attack competitor A on product availability and technical assistance, and competitor C on almost everything, but it should not attack B, which has no glaring weaknesses. As part of this competitive analysis for positioning, the firm should also ascertain the strategies and objectives of its primary competitors. Associations that make up points of difference can be based on virtually any type of attribute or benefit. Strong brands often have multiple points of difference. 3 criteria determine whether a brand association can truly function as a point of difference: desirability, deliverability, and differentiability, desire to consumers. Consumers must see the brand association as personally relevant to them, deliverable by the company. The company must have the internal resources and the commitment to feasibly and profitably create and maintain the brand association in the minds of consumers. The product design and the marketing offering must support the desired association, differentiating from competitors. Finally, consumers must see the brand association as distinctive and superior to relevant competitors. Regardless of the source of perceived weaknesses, if in the eye of consumers, a brand can break even in those areas where it appears to be at a disadvantage and achieve advantages in other areas, it should be in a strong and perhaps unbeatable competitive position. Consider the introduction of Mills Light Beer, the first major light beer in North America. Pop associations come in three basic forms: category, correlational, and competitive. Category points of parity are attributes or benefits that consumers view as essential to a legitimate and credible offering within a certain product or service category. In other words, they represent necessary but not sufficient conditions for brand choice. Correlational points of parity are potentially negative associations that arise from the existence of positive associations for the brand. Competitive points of parity are associations designed to overcome perceived weaknesses of the brand in light of competitors' points of difference. It is not uncommon for a brand to identify more than one actual or potential competitive frame of reference. If competition widens or the firm plans to expand into new categories. For example, Starbucks could define very distinct sets of competitors, suggesting different possible pops and pots. As a result, some potential pops and pots for Starbucks are shared across competitors. Others are unique to a particular competitor. Occasionally, a company will be able to straddle two frames of references with one set of points of difference and points of parity. In these cases, the points of difference for one category become points of parity for the other, and vice versa. Straddle positions allow brands to expand their market coverage and potentially customer base. Michael Porter urged companies to build a sustainable competitive advantage. Competitive advantage is a company's ability to perform in one or more ways that competitors cannot or will not match. But few competitive advantages are inherently sustainable. At best, they may be leverageable. A leverageable advantage is one that a company can use as a springboard to new advantages, much as Microsoft has leveraged its operating system to Micro-Office and then to networking applications. In general, a company that helps to endure must be in the business of continuously inventing new advantages that can serve as the basis of points of difference. Any product or service benefit that is sufficiently desirable, deliverable, and differentiating can serve as points of difference for a brand. The obvious and often the most compelling means of differentiating for consumers are benefits related to performance. For choosing specific benefits as pops and pots to position a brand, perceptual maps may be useful. Perceptual maps are visual representations of consumer perceptions and preferences. They provide quantitative pictures of market situations and the way consumers view different products, services, and brands along various dimensions. By overlaying consumer preferences with brand perceptions, marketers can review holes openings that suggest unmet consumer needs and marketing opportunities. Many marketing experts believe a brand positioning should have both rational and emotional components. In other words, it should contain points of difference and points of parity that appeal to both the head and the heart. A person's emotional response to a brand and its marketing will depend on many factors. An increasingly important one is the brand authenticity. To further focus brand positioning and guide the way their marketers help consumers think about the brand, firms can define a brand mantra. A brand mantra is a 3 to 5 words articulation of the heart and soul of the brand, and is closely related to other branding concepts, like brand essence and core brand promise. Here are 3 criteria for the brand mantra. Communicate. A good brand mantra should clarify what is unique about the brand. It may also need to define the category of business for the brand and set brand boundaries. Simplify. An effective brand mantra should be memorable. For that, it should be short, crisp, and vivid in meaning. Inspire. Ideally, the brand mantra should also stake out brand that is personally meaningful and relevant to as many employees as possible. That's for this section. Next time, we'll continue with brand positioning. Thank you.